Hey everyone, welcome back to Psyched About Life, where we talk about psychology, life, growth, and personal development. Today's video is a little different. We're doing a twist of makeup, so it's kind of like a get ready with me, but we're also going to throw in some psychology, and we're going to be talking about happiness, the pursuit of happiness, happiness as a practice. So pretty much I'm going to go through my makeup routine as well as talk a little bit about the topic of happiness, what happiness should envelop, or how to have happiness in our lives as a frequent experience, because we need to realize that happiness isn't going to be every second of the day. It comes in different ways, it comes at different times. How we define happiness is going to help us achieve happiness, because it can't be something that's material, that's something that you are going to attain, but something that you experience and you feel it and it becomes reality. So we're going to get a little bit into defining happiness, but we're going to talk right now as I do my makeup, starting off with some primer. I kind of already did it, so I'm just showing you guys what I did. We always wet the sponge first, but I saw something on TikTok today. It was like a live. He was meditating, he had a sound bowl, and he was on the topic of happiness. Happiness as a practice. Happiness takes practice, but seeing it as a practice, as something that can be achieved daily and something that you have to work on, put effort into, can make it a little bit more simpler and achievable every day. So let's get into it. We're going to do our foundation first by L'Oreal True Match, shade W4. So happiness as a practice. Happiness is something that we first need to define, and defining it in ways such as our relationships, time together. Happiness is something that we feel, whether it's joyous, peace of mind, and when you break it down into those components, then it becomes more real, more frequent, and we can acknowledge it easier and more frequently. So I think just defining it, maybe keeping a journal and writing down times that you do feel happy, or what happy means to you when you do experience it, write it down so that the next time that you have an experience like that, you will feel that same feeling, and it will bring you happiness. It will bring you joy. It will bring you peace of mind. Happiness can be very temporary, right? Especially if it's something that's materialistic, because how many times do we buy something and then we get over it? And then we're just like, well, that was short-lived. Happiness isn't materialistic. It isn't in the riches. And if it is the riches, it's temporary. It's not going to last very long, because you'll never be satisfied with that one object. There will always be a shinier object. And sometimes, this was also really interesting, happiness is the chase, not the actual attainment of the thing. It's the chase. So that's why a lot of couples will say, well, we lost that spark, we lost that happiness, whatever, that loving, fun, happy times. And that's because that chase, that, I'm gonna get that, she's mine, he's mine, that relationship, I want those goals, whatever, I'm gonna get there. That chase, that drive, it kind of slows down, right? And we don't have that chase anymore. And so that's kind of the same thing with happiness if we don't practice it, and if we don't define it into things that make it easier for us to understand and acknowledge. And the time we spend with people can bring us a lot of happiness. Looking back into the past of past societies, right? People lived differently, right? They weren't as materialistic. They weren't shopping left to right and all the time. They weren't searching. They kind of were more focused on the energy they put into their relationships, their family values, so times have changed. And I think we look at happiness differently, of course, than our past ancestors, whatever you want to call them. It's just such an interesting concept, happiness. I feel like whenever I talk to people, whether it's people my age or people at work, different ages. Everyone has a different view of it, and everyone they'll say, well, I'm not that happy, so I must be miserable, right? I think understanding our feelings and giving ourselves the opportunity to be more okay with feeling sad, or giving us a bigger vocabulary of our feelings, because we can't just be happy or sad. There's other feelings that we can experience. So I think broadening the horizons of our feelings, being more comfortable with discomfort, even though it's, the opposite, but it's okay to be comfortable with discomfort, and just understanding that happiness is a feeling, yes, but it's not something that is only by attaining something like this, right? Like, this isn't gonna make me happy. Happiness, we have to define it first. We have to define it, and we have to practice it. And I think the more practice, the better experiences we will have of happiness in our lives. So I put a little bit of makeup on my neck. I know this is taking a while, the foundation, but I think I'm just covering 10,000 different topics about happiness at once, so my apologies. I put some makeup on my neck because it blends and looks more natural this way. If I don't put any makeup on my neck, my face looks orange and it looks like a mask. Yeah, see, this is my skin color in the winter and spring and fall, or winter and spring. And this is 2 shades darker. So because of that, we're gonna do some contouring. So I also use L'Oreal True Match for my concealer. But back onto the subject of happiness. We talked about it as a practice, being more comfortable with discomfort, knowing that happiness can be very temporary, but if we define it into various categories and definitions, we'll be able to experience different things of happiness, right? Different experiences. I think the more knowledge, the more power, the more eye-opening life will be. Knowledge of ourselves, self-actualization, self-awareness, all those different terms. And I think the more cognizant and aware we are of when we're happy and what we're doing, and having that definition, I think that will help us tremendously. And in ways to do that, I think one way for sure is keeping a journal of some kind and jotting down the times that you feel happy, defining happiness, whatever you want to title it, and looking at it, reflecting upon it. I think that it will help us better recognize happiness when we come face to face with an experience that brings us joy. So I do a little bit of concealer here in the T-zone, a little bit on my nose. This makeup isn't anything extreme, fancy schmancy. It's kind of a everyday. I usually put some over here, but feeling a little lazy. Okay. Yeah, I've with my background in psychology, I don't want to say I'm an expert, but you learn a lot about well-being. You learn a lot about feelings, emotions, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and also talking and hearing stories. You hear a lot of different views or outlooks on concepts. So for example, one time a classmate was sharing about how they're not that happy, and that brought in the discussion of, well, you can't be happy 24/7. Happiness is a feeling, and I think that all of us, we'd rather feel happy than feel any other feeling, right? But I think we just need to, as a society, shed some light on normalizing other emotions, because if we don't, everyone's gonna think something's wrong with them if they're not happy, or someone is going to fall into that self-sabotaging role or feel worse than they actually are because they think they need to be happy, when you don't need to always be happy. So it's like, yes, let's practice happiness, but let's also understand that it's normal to have other feelings. Right now I'm just putting some of this ColourPop bronzer on my eyelids as an eyeshadow, and I also put some on my nose, and I'll show you guys in a minute. See, or a second. I kind of make that shape, outline the tippy top. It's not perfect at all. I think we need to normalize a lot of different things in society. I feel like there's still a lot to expose and learn in general. Okay, we are almost done, folks. Next but not least, some lipstick. Some so I just use e.l.f. e.l.f. is very affordable and it works like a charm. So just because things are cheap doesn't mean they suck. Yep, so I hope this video shed some light on the topic of happiness and brought some awareness, normalization, whatever you want to call it, on it's okay to not be happy 24/7, to experience other emotions. Nothing's wrong with you for not being happy all the time. You know, as long as we're understanding what happiness looks like, a healthy amount of joy, happiness, pleasure goes a long way. And that it's okay to experience other feelings. Like, you're not wrong for feeling bored or whatever, then at peace, or just defining happiness, I think will help understanding and acknowledging. So anyway, I hope that made sense. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We're almost done here. I use Maybelline. Probably look crazy. Everyday makeup look, people. This brings me happiness. Yes, it's materialistic, but definitely makes me happy, along with many other things. Makes me feel at peace. Anyway, thanks for watching today's video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.